In Perfect Harmony, Active Supervision Revisited, November 2022. Hello, my name is Bridget Davis. I'm the Associate Director here at Children First. And if you recall, during our pre-service, or probably actually no, not pre-service, it was March of 2022, we put together a slide presentation, Stacy Copeland, HR Manager, and myself, called In Perfect Harmony, and we talked about standards of conduct and ethics, core values, and active supervision. Today, we are revisiting active supervision. But to go over and review what we discussed in March, we had a three-prong approach. We discussed the standards of conduct, and as you see here, this is the Head Start program performance standard under human resource management that we are required to have a standards of conduct policy that is signed by all staff, consultants, and volunteers. If a person were to violate the Children First standards of conduct, it may result in termination. So again, we are just reviewing the two previous prongs in this three-prong presentation that led us to discuss active supervision here today. So this is just a refresher. And we also discussed a code of ethics. If you recall, this active supervision, the standards of conduct, code of ethics, those are two separate forms. Standards of conduct and code of ethics are together combined on one, and each of us signs them on an annual basis. We did have a procedural change last program year, beginning in January, that we said we would be signing these forms twice a year, and the second time when we're signing them is going to be coming up in January. This is our core values. As a refresher, we care, and it is an acronym, and W is for the welfare of children, E is for excellence, C, communication, A, accountability, R, respect, E, empathic teaming. Our core values is what we show up to work in mind every day. So today when we talk about active supervision, why do we supervise children? And this is a quote from Sprague and Ghali. Simply maintaining an adult presence in common areas and merely attending to inappropriate behaviors is an insufficient and ineffective intervention practice. We just know that being in a classroom or being on a playground or being anywhere where children are present, us being there without any type of effective interaction will not suffice. So active supervision is an evidence-based practice shown to foster a positive environment that promotes consistent, clear expectations for children, builds positive adult-child relationships, and allows for a higher ratio of encouragement and positive interactions when we are actively supervising children. It also reduces inappropriate behavior and increases appropriate behavior. It allows for timely correction of misbehavior, increases child safety, and decreases bullying. And the key word here is being active. As a teacher in a classroom, when you are engaged with children and you are aware of the surroundings and the environment of what's going on, you are more likely able to intervene and to stop certain behaviors or to basically promote, guide, and prevent behaviors from occurring. So what are the principles of active supervision? Active supervision is one of the most important caregiving strategies and skills required by educators to develop and master. It's also a combination of listening to and watching children play, being aware of the environment, any potential risks, weather conditions if you're outside, the time of day, managing small and large groups, and understanding child development. Active supervision always requires focused attention and intentional observation of children. So there are 6 strategies to keep children safe. We get this from the Office of Head Start. It can be found in eClick. but this is where it comes from. This isn't something that Children First made up or that I made up. It is something that's coming from the Office of Head Start. And the 6 strategies to keep kids safe is 1, setting up the environment. 2, the position of staff. 3, your ability to scan and count, and Children First adds transition tracking. 4 is listening. 5 is anticipating children's behavior, and the 6th is engaging and redirecting. So we're going to talk about each of these strategies individually. Setting up the environment. Staff should set up the environment so they can supervise children and always have access to them. Grouping activities together and making sure furniture is at waist height or shorter allows you as teachers to see and hear children. Small spaces should be free of clutter, and big spaces should have clear play spaces for children that staff can observe. So we talk about this quite frequently when you are coming into a new classroom, let's say for the brand new program year. How are you setting up your equipment, your materials, your furniture, so no matter where you stand in the room, you have a clear sight or line of sight, line of vision to each of the nooks and crannies of your classroom. So if you have furniture that is blocking your view, it's not a good idea to have it in the middle of the room. It might be better served to be along the wall. You also want to make certain that you don't have long, wide open runways where children can run and typically not follow the rules or the guidelines that you have set up. Walk when we're in the classroom. We run when we are outside. So we want to make certain that we are setting them up for success and not creating runways in the classroom. The same thing with furniture that might be easily able to tip over. If it's very lightweight, it shouldn't be somewhere in the middle of the room that could cause a hazard to the children. As a teacher, you also want to make certain when you are in the classroom and you're engaging with children, your back is not really towards the center of the room. Your back should always be towards the wall so that you can see what's going on in the classroom, even though you might be attending to 1 or 2 children in the moment. Again, and this leads to positioning of staff. You should carefully plan where you want to position yourselves to protect children from harm, and this includes that you are able to see and hear all children at all times. Staff should make sure there are clear paths to where children are playing, sleeping, and eating. And I want to talk a little bit about this because, again, if you look at this picture that's in this slide, the teacher has her back to the wall. She's able to see the children around her. She's able to see out into the classroom. Nothing's really happening behind her. And you want to make certain that when you are in a classroom, you want to be as close to the wall as possible and your back facing it. Same with nap time. If you're in a classroom where you are providing nap for older children, not so much early Head Start children in cribs, the placement of the cots or the mats is very important. You want to make certain that they are not obstructed, that they are not laying behind a cabinet that you do not have a clear sight line to. So you want to make certain when you are looking at this, even with your coworkers, if there's no other way to put a child in a position that's not behind something, then we're going to need to move the cabinet in order to be able to see the child. And as far as going back to the room arrangement, one of the things that's very important is you should engage your supervisor's feedback about your room arrangement, your early childhood development specialist or your regional manager, to make certain that that's another set of eyes that can help and give feedback on your room arrangement, just to make certain that you're not missing an area that might be obstructed. So the next step is scan and count, and we also transition track. So it's just like the term implies. Staff should always be able to account for the children in their care. They continuously scan the entire environment, whether you're inside or outside, to know where everyone is and what they are doing. They also count the children frequently. This is especially important during transitions when children are moving from one location to another. As you are all aware, we implement the process of transition tracking. That's counting children through every transition, through every doorway. For example, when it's drop-off time and it's the beginning of the morning and kids are arriving, you should be counting and adding them to the transition tracker. You should also be communicating to your teacher, your fellow teacher, what the number is and how many staff are present at the moment. As far as leaving to go on break, you also would do the transition tracker because you are being replaced by another adult. That other adult needs to know how many children are in your care. When you are leaving the classroom, you're going to count them and put them on the transition tracker. When you get to the playground, again, before you release them, you need to make certain that you're counting them and have the same amount that you counted on the inside, because you could, God forbid, have left one or miscounted, and now you're trying to find out where was that child. Is the child in the bathroom? Oh my gosh, let me go and see. So it's very important through every doorway. Before you leave the doorway, you're counting. When you exit the doorway, before you release them to the playground, you're counting, scanning to make certain that you have the same amount of children, and you're verifying that with your teacher before you let them loose. Same with getting ready to come back to the classroom from the playground. You call them over, you gather them, you line them up, you count them, you verify the number with your teammate, and then when you're ready to go, a teacher's in the front, a teacher's in the back of the line, and we're walking them back into the classroom. You let them into the classroom, you make certain that you're scanning, you're counting, you're both getting the same number of children to ensure that no one was left on the playground. It's very, very, very important to count children through every transition, whether it's just an adult leaving the classroom or it's the whole entire group leaving the classroom and returning to the classroom. It's very important that you remember it's before and it's after. And when you're on the playground, you are constantly in zone defense. You are scanning, you are counting to make certain that your children are still accounted for while you're outside on a playground. It's very important practice. The next strategy is listening, and this refers to maybe older children that are able to tell you that they're going to the bathroom and that you are standing in the doorway, not having to supervise them in the bathroom per se by assisting them, but you have your self in the doorway and your eyes to the classroom, but you are listening to make certain that the older child that's in the bathroom is still, okay, that they're not struggling, to finish up or wash their hands or need any kind of assistance. You want to make certain that you have a presence in the doorway, but you are facing out into the classroom, but you're also listening into the bathroom. You're listening for specific sounds or the absence of them, which may be cause for concern. Staff who listen closely to children can quickly identify any signs of potential danger. And programs that plan systemically, programs that plan systemically are better able to implement additional strategies to safeguard children. And again, that is why we have transition tracking at Children First. For example, adding bells to doors help alert staff when a child leaves or enters the room. Another strategy is to anticipate children's behavior. Staff should use what they know about each child's interests and skills to predict what the child will do next. They can create challenges that children are ready for and support them in succeeding. Staff should also be aware of changes in a child's mood and anticipate when a child may wander off, get upset, or take a dangerous risk. Information from the daily health check can inform staff observations and help predict child's behavior. Staff who know what to expect are better able to protect children from harm. And another piece to this is communicating with your coworker and communicating with any volunteer or person that comes into your classroom to give breaks, that you are letting them know, hey, Charlie's not feeling so well today. He's okay to stay. He's just kind of irritable, so we need to keep an eye on him. His patience is kind of thin. We want to make certain that he's kind of staying away from Johnny because Johnny's been bugging him and we've had to intervene a couple of times. Whatever the case may be, you want to make certain that you are setting children up for success. You are communicating any needs to your coworker, talking throughout the day, and also to any visitor that might be coming in to your classroom. And the last strategy is engaging, and we're also talking about encouraging and extending and redirecting children's behavior. Staff should offer support to children by using what they know about their individual needs and development. Teachers can encourage children to solve problems on their own and help them develop solutions if needed. They can also offer different levels of assistance or redirection depending on each child's needs. So again, this is hand in hand with anticipating children's behavior, and then when you are anticipating and you're there to prevent any kind of misstep, this is when you would engage, encourage, and extend and redirect to another activity. For example, Johnny's bothering Charlie. You see that he's ready to just maybe lash out at Johnny or, hit Johnny. You want to be right there to be able to disengage what might be ready to happen. Take Charlie to the side and have some words with him, words of encouragement, extending on his play, extending on, what's his emotional state is, what he'd like to do, maybe spend some one-on-one time with him, knowing that he came in with his patience a little worn thin, that you're there to just help him be successful and redirect him away from Johnny to have his own one-on-one time or whatever it is he might need in that moment. So what we are looking to have each classroom team do is implement an active supervision implementation plan as a classroom team. You will be getting a form that the 2 of you or 3 of you, depending on how many which class you're working for, Head Start or Early Head Start, that you look at these questions, and they are on the form, and have some self-reflection and conversation with one another about how you currently understand active supervision, the 6 strategies, what your processes currently are, and what, if any, can be improved upon. So the self-reflection questions are here. How do we teach active supervision strategies and support staff when they apply these skills in everyday practice? How do we arrange the space to create a safe environment? How can we physically position ourselves? How do we make sure we are continuously scanning and counting children? How are we assessing individual children's skills and abilities? And how are we engaging and redirecting children who need additional support? Your charge after you watch this PowerPoint presentation is to come together after break and discuss with your team these questions and fill out the form in regards to, again, what are we currently doing and how can we improve to ensure that we are doing the best we possibly can to engage active supervision. You will also get the handout from eClick, which outlines the 6 strategies, so you can be looking at them when you do fill out the form together. And if you have any questions after this PowerPoint presentation, please direct them to your early childhood development specialist or your regional manager, or you can also contact myself. You will be receiving, as a part of this presentation in the email, a copy of the My Classroom Active Supervision Implementation Plan, the reflective tool, the questions that we just briefly went over, a copy of Active Supervision at a Glance. There'll be active supervision posters that you can post in your classroom. And then I've also attached a NACCE Code of Ethics just for your review in case you would like to review that when it comes time to filling out the form as well. So at this time, I thank you for your attention on reviewing active supervision, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day and your